The Midnight Selkie, Chapter 16. Raleigh frowned as he made his way out of the galley. Atari was bad news. But it wasn't the first time that he had dealt with a negative person. In fact, he left one and met another. Malcolm was awake, and he eyed Raleigh with a seemingly bitter expression as he returned to the den. "Always dangerous, that one," he said. "We have had trouble with him for years. It would do you good to just stay as far away from him as possible." "I think I plan to," Raleigh replied. "He has some serious issues." "I don't trust the others either. How do you know what they are thinking, deep down?" "You don't. None of them are trustworthy." "If Admiral Porter says that it's okay, I just have to believe him." This seemed to annoy Malcolm, and it showed on his face. "You would trust that old coot over your old man? That's just wrong, Raleigh. He has put us all in danger. You'd be safe at home with your family. Instead, we are all on this boat, chancing death at every moment. We are not safe here. I kept you safe." "That depends on how you look at it, doesn't it?" he retorted. "If it wasn't for me, Raleigh, you'd have never had the courage to be on this boat in the first place." "For your information, it was the Admiral who advised me every step of the way, Dad. You took me to the lab, and you left me there to figure it out for myself. You were more concerned about your image, but Admiral Porter cares about others. He does it because it's the right thing to do, and for the right reasons. You are your mother's son. I bet she does wish that you were sired by that Selkie rather than by me." "You've always been a really rough person to live with," Raleigh admitted. "You don't care if you hurt someone. But lately, you've become a horrible person. I don't like it. At all. I don't think Mom does either. It makes me wonder if you are just as bad as Atari." If Malcolm wasn't annoyed before, he was furious now. "You talk like you know things. You're just a boy. You know nothing of real life. If you think I'm such a bad father, then know that you disappoint me as a son. Go and find yourself a new father. I wash my hands of you, and you are no longer my son." Raleigh went wide-eyed with a gasp. "What?" "Huh. You're not talking so tough now, are you, Raleigh? You have no father now." "Dad?" "No, don't even call me that anymore. If you want a father, you can just go schmooze with the Admiral. Why don't you schmooze with that Artemis guy? Your tramp of a mother seems quite into him. I'm sure she'd prefer it that way." "Don't talk about Mom like that," Raleigh cried out. The Selkies groaned and turned over, disturbed by the sounds, but not fully awakened by them. Atari, however, peeked in and watched quietly from the edge of the galley. "I'll choose her over you any day. You can drop off the face of the planet for all I care. I won't let you hurt me or Mom anymore." "Raleigh!" Malcolm called as the boy rushed from the cabin. Atari chuckled with such joyous amusement. Malcolm spun around and scowled at him. "What's so funny?" "You're fantastic in the talents of espionage. With you on board, I may not have to do much of anything to destroy everybody. You're screwing things up wonderfully without my help." Raleigh stormed onto the deck. Immediately, the night breeze blew against his face. It muffled past his ears and blew his clothes back in ripples. It was cool against his face, now soaked with tears. He wiped them away and wandered to the bow and threw the web holding the figurehead fast. Clouds had retreated and were now but speckles in a sky lit by a silver moon. Clouds had retreated and were now but speckles in a sky lit by a silver moon. It was like a soft sun was leading them. The sea was so quiet and pretty. He wished he could escape into it, despite any of his reservations. But no problems would be solved there. The Selkies on board were proof of that. There was no place to take an extensive walk. Raleigh decided that he would then make do with circling about the deck. By the time he came to the stern, he watched the breakers behind them as he let out a heavy sigh. "You are troubled, Raleigh?" a soft voice asked. Raleigh turned and found Artemis sitting on a quilt, which was spread upon the deck. Behind him, in a heap, was another. "Artemis?" What are you doing out here? Thinking. You are too, it seems. He patted a place beside him. Come and sit here. Would you like to talk about it? He agreed. He got to his knees under the quilt, and he found a comfortable position beside Artemis in which to sit. You called me Raleigh. Isn't that your name? He asked simply. Are you angry with me? No, Artemis replied. Why? Do you feel I should be? I suppose not. But the others call me Brother Raleigh. You did it first, too. But now you don't call me a brother, so I thought it was because I somehow fell out of favor. Ah, that, the Midnight Selkie chuckled. Somehow I felt it would be inappropriate for me to say. So you and my mom are into each other, aren't you? Raleigh asked. Is that it? That is so, Artemis admitted. He reached out to touch Raleigh's cheeks. Why is it that you bear tears? What makes you weep so? Raleigh frowned. Oh, my dad. And Atari. What do they say? Bad things. Atari is like that, Artemis sighed. He never brings a sense of uplifting or positive feelings. For now, don't pay him too much mind. Just pay him enough to respect his space. That is all you can do in such close quarters to him. My dad disowned me. He doesn't want me to be his son anymore. Does that sadden you? It relieves me, Raleigh admitted, almost shamefully. I'm not too worried about me. I'm more upset about the bad things he said about Mom. Artemis wrapped the second quilt about himself and coaxed Raleigh to lean into him. When the boy was close enough, he wrapped the quilt about him as well, in a warm embrace. In a test of loyalty, one may see another's true colors. Do not worry about his, if you know what yours are. I think mine are okay. I think yours are too. You and Kiana are good people, Artemis said. I'm happy to know you. Will we ever see you guys again? Raleigh asked. Will it just go back to us living our separate lives? I don't think so. We will see each other again. I am sure of it. I will see you again. Of that, I am certain. Raleigh rested himself against Artemis. He made himself rather comfortable, to which Artemis did not object in any manner. The quilt was no sealskin, but it was still warm and comfortable. It would suffice. I can see why Mom likes you. You're really nice. You say encouraging things. You're a lot like Yue, but that is a given, isn't it? You're also a lot like Nemo, except you're not as bubbly. Thank you, Raleigh, Artemis smiled, speaking softly as the boy yawned. He was sleepy now. Once he was completely comfortable, he dozed and fell into a deep sleep. Artemis watched him silently. He looked like her when he slept. He, too, soon began to feel heavy with sleep. They repositioned so that both were comfortable. You needn't fret, Raleigh. You will never be without a father. A seagull landed onto the deck of the Aquaquami. Where there were quilts, there was sometimes picnic food. It watched Raleigh and Artemis a moment before it began to peck at the fabric. Perhaps it could free some crumbs. As shadows began to loom, the seagull took flight, which stirred the sleeping pair. They had to shield their eyes as they adjusted to the daylight. Standing over them was Captain Jim and Admiral Nye Porter. Both of them had their arms crossed and stared down at them. See, I told you they couldn't have gotten too far, Nye laughed. Huh? Raleigh groaned. He squinted his eyes to make out the figures. Admiral? We were just a little worried when we didn't see you inside, Captain Jim added. We thought that maybe Atari got to you in the night when no one was looking. No, I just needed some air. Raleigh sat up and wiped his eyes. Artemis slowly sat up behind him, doing the same. Have we made it to the amphitrite yet? the Selkie asked. We're almost there, Captain Jim replied. You can even see it in the distance. Really? Raleigh smiled. The others are at the bow, Nye stated. They're all watching. He gave his head a toss to emphasize his statement. Go look. Raleigh was up in an instant, and he darted for the bow to join the others. Artemis watched him depart, and then he peered up at the seaman. "Are you angry with me?"
"I'm not," Admiral Night Porter shrugged. "Don't know about him, though."
Captain Jim scrunched up his face. "I'm not particularly happy. But things aren't like they were back then. She's not a child anymore. She's an adult. And after that crazy ordeal last night, I need her to choose what is best for her and for Raleigh. My daughter's safety and happiness are very important to me. Surely you can understand that." "I do," Artemis replied with a humble nod. "Are we okay with each other, then?" "I don't see where it make any difference."
"Fine, fine," the Admiral chimed in. "So no one's mad anymore. Now let's get ready."
"Ready?" from Artemis. "I see it!" Nemo shouted. It could be heard clear as day. "There's the Amphitrite!" "We made it?"
"Look alive, Artemis," Knight bellowed. "We can refuel the Aquaquami there. The poor lady is probably dying of thirst."
It was a beautiful sight to the Selkies. Unlike their brethren, they had braved the water in their human forms. They had reached this place. At long last, they would be able to return to the sea. "I never thought I would be so happy," Lajlai breathed, "to see a human creation." "Won't be long now, my friends," Atari announced. "Soon we will be going home." This sent a wave of cheers among the Selkies. They held each other in their excitement. Oh, how they had waited for this day. The boat docked at the Amphitrite. No one, however, answered the radio, and no one came to greet them. Captain Jim set right to work refueling the Aquaquami. Welcome wagon or no, it was a priority. "This place looks deserted," Phoebus remarked. "Not a soul to be seen," Yue added.
"I'm not surprised," Admiral Night Porter stated. "A storm like that one we had probably was enough cause to evacuate the base. If that is the case, the place is all ours."
"It's a big place," Nemo pointed out, as if it weren't already obvious. "How will we know where to find our skins?" Atari turned to Malcolm and snatched him up by his shirt. "Why don't we take him along? If he values his life, he'll help us look."
"Put me down," Malcolm demanded. "There's no need for all of us to go," Admiral Night Porter said. "I'll go. Atari, Phoebus, you can come too. And bring Dr. Stalk along. As much as I hate to be admitting it, Atari has a very valid point there."
"But what about the rest of us?" Nemo asked. "We should look too," Lajlai added.
"You will stay on the boat with the others. Do you hear me?" he growled.
He gathered himself before placing his hands on the heads of the smallest passengers, Nemo and Raleigh.
"Please, just do as I say. You've all been very brave, and you've put yourself at great risk already. Do not put yourself in any more. Atari is an old veteran of risk. Phoebus has martial skill. We will need no more of your talents. I will not allow everyone to take this chance. Just leave it to us. Stay here."
Nemo contemplated those words very carefully before he finally grew a sweet and innocent smile. "Okay." "Yes, sir," Lajlai chimed in. "We'll be ready when you come back," Raleigh assured. Yue responded with a soft smile before he gave his head an obedient bow. "You are very wise and caring, sir. Quite amazing, really."
"Good man, Yue," Nice smirked. "Look after everyone. Boys, let's get going."